Desensitization, desensitize. Simply when you start losing the sense, the simplest gift we've been given, to be able to see something and our bodies reacting to it. And when something has been desensitized within someone or within a society, it becomes a norm. For example, we've been played many programs or movies or series or anything within the entertainment industry to project that a particular community is always an extremist group, or a particular community, they can never fend for themselves unless they have to hold a gun, or a particular community can never rise up to a particular place or an ethnicity, because unless this is done, this gets played in your mind over and over and over and over again. The music plays, the movies, the picture and the picture. Eventually you start assuming that when you see someone who is from a different race or a different ethnicity, that is who they are from a general context. But you forgetting just even among you, within my people, there are people who are just per the imagery. And for example, if you watch so much programs of crime, precisely violence, if you're so used to violence, watching people their lives taken in whatever imagery it is, you play games of the same. What happens is, as time progresses, when that thing happens, you won't even notice it. You are numb to it. So already your mind has already gotten used to it and said, this is just another part of life. If you're so used to corruption from whatever context you may be, you're used to people losing things and authorities taking, and you're like, this is just another normal thing. You become desensitized to corruption. So when corruption happens, you are a partaker of it, or you give your approval of it. If you are desensitized to police brutality, as time progresses, when it happens to someone or to you, you'll say, you don't deserve a right. Well, that is how it is. It's just another normal day. But is it? If you are used to domestic violence, for example, you've watched enough imagery or heard a lot about domestic violence from the context of don't defend yourself, just let it be. Your family won't help you, your friends won't help you, no one will ever listen to you. What happens eventually is you become so desensitized that when it actually happens, you realize that already by that time it happens, it's just another normal thing. But it's not a normal thing. If someone has shown the signs and the awareness of domestic violence, I am sorry, it doesn't matter how smart you think you are and how comfortable you think you are, walk away while you still have the strength in you. Some will say, I will do it for my kids. Are your kids, should the kids wake up one day and never find you because you took every hit and every blow and you're strong? You may never be an abuser, but you will be an abuser. And if it's not towards the individuals, towards your kids or another person who's innocent. And that's the reason why many relationships that are being bred out of domestic violence or violence, when these people come into new relationships, they carry what they carried from what they see there. So this violence they were the victims. Now, when a new person comes, they become their prey. And so they say, well, it happened to me, it must happen to this person. If you're desensitized to bullying, this imagery is played in movies, this imagery is played within the entertainment industry. When you become a victim or witness bullying, you end up thinking it's supposed to be another normal thing. But bullying is wrong. Facts. It doesn't matter if that makes you man enough or woman enough. It doesn't matter. Bullying is wrong. It should be called out, and the person who's doing it should be called out and go through the due process of the punishment, whatever it may be. If you are desensitized to seeing people die and no one is helping, when that thing happens, you will just watch them die. And that's why we have this issue whereby someone is losing their life or they're in a very bad accident or incident, and what do people do? They'll take their phones and watch them lose their life. For what reason? So that now, because they're like, well, if I won't help them, they won't be helped anyway, so they rather die. So I rather have a glimpse of their last time in life and eventually post it, have the video, and send it. There are people just creepy. There are people, if they're so used to the being desensitized, that if they'll show you, oh, let me show you this clip, and you're thinking something positive, and someone is dying, and literally you can see it, and they're thinking, huh? And when we get so used to desensitization, we start even promoting their agendas. Terrorism works because when we start posting and getting used to sharing imagery of people's lives being decapitated or stuff or anything within that level of violence, and people say, oh, this is okay, people get used to it. So when it's happening, like, it's just another. No, taking someone's life is wrong. And whatever due process within whatever state or nation it is, that person who did it to that innocent person should suffer. When a police officer takes someone's life and nothing is done about it, the people will start saying is another normal thing. Hence militias, hence all these other problems that's come. When you could have held that police officer accountable, held him accountable. If you are in church and you've gotten used to hearing cases of a particular minister or servant of God who's always corrupt, sleeps with people's spouses, has even defiled, and if you don't take any action because you're so desensitized, because it's like, well, those people should have dressed like this. No! That individual who did that incident should face the punishment due to them. But if you don't, this victim who went through this ordeal and nobody listened to them, only two things will come out of them. They can become worse than the abuser, or they can become scared all their life. And we keep repeating it, even in memes. It's so interesting that a meme could be a one word or a picture or an imagery or a GIF or a GIF, whichever you call, or a short clip. And you get used to it. Just a few words. It's not normally something big, a few words. But it's easy to get to desensitize. For example, you see a meme saying, if your man or your lady does ABCD, it means they're cheating. Or if a man or a woman does not drink, does not do this, then they are doing this. No. Yes, you can choose not to drink. You can choose not to cheat. You can choose not to do any of that. Does not make you a bad person. Or someone will say, or a meme or something will say, those who are isolated are like serial killers. No. You can just choose to isolate yourself from an environment that is toxic, and you just want your peace of mind. Does not make you the attribute of a serial killer. And being a serial killer is not something to be proud of. When someone is taking people's lives, snatching away someone's life because they feel entitled to it, because when they look at the victim like, I have control over you. There's nothing good or to be proud of association with a serial killer. There's nothing. Let them go through the due process of law or punishment that is there. But you should not promote their ideologies. And that's the issue that we have. The more desensitized we are, the more we accept things we should never have accepted in the very beginning. If you've been abused in whichever situation, whether sexually, mentally, emotionally, it does not mean that because it happened to you, it's supposed to happen. No, it was wrong. It happened to you. It should have never happened to you. The fact that you can recognize and acknowledge it has happened to you gives you the edge to be the different person and be the one to stand up and say, no, it won't happen again, and save the second person. If you are used to bad governance and you said, oh, they all do it, it's just another day. No, you rise up. You say no is no. Whether it's through a protest, whatever way you have to make sure your voices are heard, you should do it. Because the more desensitized you are, you use every mineral that was meant for your people, meant for that nation. You use your place, you end up having no place to go. These are the facts. when you become an immigrant to another country, there's one fact you will never change. Your bloodline, your race, your ethnicity. You can never change that. And even if you go and be with a race of another race and even marry and whatever it may be, there are traits that you have that will always take you to where you are from. Those are facts you can never run away from. And you may choose, I won't go there, but your child or your grandchild or someone within a blood will go back where it all started. There are things you cannot change. You cannot choose to be desensitized from where you're from in terms of I'm from this culture or this nation. It does not matter how far you go. You're still from that nation. So when they are bleeding, as much as you may say, I'm not there, I don't, you will be affected. And if you're not affected, your child, someone will be affected. When we are desensitized, we become the product of that thing. So it's up to you as a person to say, hey, this is wrong. Because when we become so desensitized, as a society, we become morally corrupt. Our hearts become cold. How do you think people have hardened hearts? You get so used to the pain, you become numb to the pain, it becomes part of you. And so when these incidents or issues happen to other people or even to you, you say, well, this is how life is supposed to be. No, life is not supposed to be violent to you or to any other person. So be the different one. And when you do that, you now you're now untangling yourself out of a web. It's like a spider's web. The way it's created by the spider for it to attack its prey. When you try to touch, you find yourself, your hand can be intermingled and you're like, oh, what's all this? When you're becoming desensitized, you're now entangling yourself out of this web. And my advice to you, get entangled. Get out of that web. You are not meant to wake up and be abused. You're not born to wake up and have no identity or no inheritance because someone is of poor governance. You're not meant to wake up and lose yourself or someone you love or another person because a police officer just had a gun and choose what they want to do. You're not supposed to be desensitized that when a man or a woman of God or whatever religious person may be, when they do wrong things and you say, well, it's just another day, no, it's wrong. Because that person maligns the image. One person, one religious leader can make the whole religion or the whole faith to be taken the same. But that's not the case. Don't be desensitized. That's a choice you have to make. Please make it for the better of not only you, but those around you and the society. Do not be desensitized. Desensitized, yes. Have that sense. Get out of that web. Entangle yourself. It won't be easy, but it's a choice you have to make. Or else you'll be a product of the wickedness and the immoral decay of where that thing will take you. But that's a choice you have to make. It's a personal choice.